outright play around you.
And look at that, a blue side Aatrox ban to eliminate the power pick. Team China want nothing to do with it. And Team Korea, it seems like they are calling this bluff from Team China as the Rakan is banned away from Ming, removing that primary engage and support from Xie as well.
You have to pick up the Akali here. Now, Faker has played it so much, of course, in solo queue, practicing it. Keen technically could play. He's a carry top lane player. So for me, take Faker off of the Akali pick. It might go in towards Letme's pocket, might go in towards Xie. This plays around China's heavy teamfight focus, but it will limit their early laning phase. Their laning phase is going to be fairly poor now that they've picked them up.
It also slows down Team China's priority towards that bottom lane. If that's a strategy they want to try to go towards in this game too, then taking the Akali first delays it, and we see Team Korea capitalizing. The Alistar now picked away from Ming, another huge setup, and Faker getting that Galio that took SKT to the finals last year. And now, to try and answer with that, MLXG will find himself on the Gragas and Uzi on his signature Kai'Sa.
But we've seen this kind of game play out before on day one. We've seen what happens when you give the Galio away to Faker and you try and pick a heavy dive composition. You just get iced out. So for Korea, I like what I see here. You can't dive Ashe and Alistar. It's going to be fairly difficult, especially with Galio looming over. Headbutt Pulverize is going to stop you in your tracks. So for China, you have to play it smart. I would like to see the Akali go in the mid lane. It just makes it so you're going to have to play a little bit of a slower game. And MLXG getting onto Gragas is actually fairly important for the team fights. Last time around, he had the Olaf, which makes it difficult to isolate individuals. This time around, if Galio comes up, you can isolate him. Maybe you can kill him early on.
Yeah, there's still plenty of flexibility in where that Akali ends up going, but Team Korea, they've got so many advantages coming into this red side. As that red side last pick, they can save that for Keen and give him a carry matchup into Let Me. Even taking the Darius into Cho'Gath like we saw yesterday. Supposedly a difficult matchup, but winning it with almost no problem, while even getting double support ban away from Ming. Team Korea are so prepared coming into this.
I love what I see here. Morgana and Tahm Kench, two amazing supports that look to save out your AD carry. Kai'Sa's going to be on her own on this one. Even if you pick up, let's say, a Braum that's left up. If it's going to be a Braum Gragas composition from China, it's going to be a little bit difficult to dive on towards the Kai'Sa. But remember, Kai'Sa now has to think. If she dives in, she won't have Tahm Kench to whisk her away, and the Morgana Dark Shield will actually not be there for her too. So it's going to be on Uzi to really just get a microscope in these team fights to see if they're the right ones to pick.
And interestingly enough, we're seeing Score take a Kindred into the jungle. Throughout this tournament, he's been primarily sticking to the Gragas, to the jungle, filling a tank utility role for his team, setting up with the big engages, setting up as the big tanky frontliners. But this time, he seems to be taking that big carry on the Kindred, and an Aurelia is picked up for Team China as they will finally round things out with their support last.
We'll get to the Aurelia in a bit just because Xie has made a name of that one in his own region, but for the Kindred pickup, because you're right, Score is great in terms of slowing the pace of the game down and making it so he can facilitate for his laners. But when Kindred's in the meta, he's the one you look towards because he is a phenomenal Kindred player. And so with Korea's composition, Galio, Alistar, Kindred, they can pick the fights. If China picks the fights, then of course you get iced out with a Kindred ultimate. It's going to stop you in your tracks. And so if China's going to want to get into a team fight, the Gragas is going to be crucial so you can get the ultimate when the ulti from Kindred is placed on the ground.
It seems as though the only target that they have to pick from is that Ashe, because everyone has a way to deny it. The Spirit's Refuge from Shen, now the Galio, Alistar, and Kindred all have ways to try and deny these kills. Of course, that being said, a lot of the damage for Team Korea is stacked onto Faker and Ruler. So while they've set themselves up with a hard-to-kill composition, their composition itself might be hard to find kills if they don't find the proper setup.
Yeah, you're right. A good amount of the burst potential does come from Galio. It's just hard for him to find the consistent damage. I would say the consistent damage does come from Kindred and the Ashe, but you're right about that. It's very fragile if they want to walk out forward. If I'm looking at the Chinese squad, it's just trying to find individual plays. Kai'Sa, Gragas, if they can get one going. Remember, in this time around, it's going to be the Gragas support. And we've seen that a little bit in the LPL, so that just means that playmaking potential comes through. And big question, if Aurelia goes for a fight, does the Shen show up?
Yes.
That's what Xie has to think about, because he has to go, if he finds a pick opportunity on towards Galio or in the side lane in a fight, Shen's gonna show up and make it a 2v1. He has to watch his back.
And you can hear the fans cheering as we get into this game 2, intermingling Team Korea and Team China chants as we get ready to load onto the Rift. Team China coming out of the gate with an early Game 1 win, but do they have enough speed to close out this series? Or will Team Korea bring us further into the depths as we get ready to load onto the Rift for this next matchup between the People's Republic of China versus the Republic of Korea? This is a very exciting matchup. Can Korea put a damper on things? Will Team China keep this momentum rolling forwards? As the lights fade and the screen changes, Raz, we've done it. We've loaded in Game 2.
Now here's what's important. Of course, the composition from Korea does mean that they have to be in tune with each other. Kindred. You can find the proper counter ganks, of course, or supporting bottom lane if they need protection from a dive. But they need to know what's happening on the opposite side of the map. Shen, 100%. But for China, it feels kind of like a horror movie where they're trying to isolate you, put you in solid in the side lane. So Akali is great on the side lane up against the Shen. Same can be said with the Irelia as well. And we've seen how Uzi ends up playing with the Kaisa. Mid lane push, sure. But if he finds himself some time, then he wants to be able to put on a side lane pressure as well. So both of these teams, it's going to find it incredibly difficult to get a 1v1 in the solo lane. It's going to be how both these teams plug into each other.
And that's where it's so important to keep vision on where your enemy laners are, keep vision on where the jungler is. And this is the big strength of the Team Korea roster, that they are so familiar playing the intimate meta game, that intimate macro game, that macro knowledge that is so difficult to match. Very well could be a strength for them in this matchup if they're able to pick and choose which lanes they want to send that Shen to, send that Galio to. But still, we've got to get through that early game before we start reaching that split push period. Already we do see a red buff start from both junglers as they match on opposite sides, and Xie trying to keep pace with Faker very early on.
This is going to be important here. Faker's naturally pushing
that's
in.
The blade
Here
surge.
we go.
He's nearly got another hit, but Faker heals it up.
This is the worry here. Faker needs help from the Kindred, but Kindred's just on her first push, only really got the Raptors and red buff for herself, so Faker has to calm down, get the potions running up.
Yeah, Xie's feigning with that blade surge. He's got his stun prepped up as well, using both of the refillables alongside that Dark Seal to keep him topped up. And KOR will show himself on a ward to try and dissuade Xie from stepping up in the mid lane because he's still hungry for that kill.
That's the thing. You see where the Kindred is, but Kindred cannot get pulled into the mid lane. That would be distracting.
That's the stun and the blade surge. A good knock up, and Xie decides not to chase. Actually, he goes under the turret, taunted, forced to flash back.
He is so hungry for the kill. Tried anything to get it. Using the cleanse, of course. Just, you're in a situation where you can get tower, of course, the tower getting aggroed onto you. Outplay potential there, but Xie still takes it to get the solo kill. Doesn't happen though. But you can see what his focus is.
Look at this, there's no flash for Xie. Faker, the edge of the shield, under the turret, and Xie's able to dodge it. Finally dies, first blood, Team Korea.
He was just a little bit too greedy, didn't even wanted to bring in the Sejuani, so, you know, the teleport coming back from Faker, and Faker just gets the go button ready for him. Great comms between him and, of course, KOR.
And despite knowing where that Kindred was, Xie wasn't able to get back in time. Tried his best to deny it as he teleports onto a ward and heads back into lane. While our attention has been focused on that mid lane, bottom and top has gone close to even. The lore matchup between Akali and Shen, the two Ionian ninjas as they go head-to-head against each other. This is going to be a much more favorable matchup for Letme. Can he put on a carry performance on this Akali to match the carry performances we've seen out of Keen over this tournament? He's done so against some of the other teams in the tournament, but has not yet been able to take the game against Keen.
Well, for the matchup here, it just depends on patience, of course. You can already see Letme playing around his Shroud. He needs to do that because, of course, Taunt, Grasp the Undying proc, the Q damage that is consistent from Shen can actually out-trade you. So the worry here, if you're Letme, is that your passive isn't going to be relevant if you're just going to be getting shielded across by Shen. So can work out for Shen, but if Akali's patient, works out well for her. You can see getting the Doran's Blade so she can match out in the early damage off on the auto attacks. And once she gets the first base, then her AP actually comes online.
It's also very interesting that we're seeing Let Me go for the Grasp of the Undying for more sustain and taking this himself, as Keen will use the Spirit's Refuge to deny any trades back. Has to be familiar with this matchup as he's just keeping the wave pushed in and waiting until that level 6 kill mark of the Akali, that perfect execution.
And good timing on the passive shield from Shen here. The Q damage came across from Akali, just denied. Wasn't going to be able to get it across. So, of course, doing a lot of good job in the top lane.
We just saw Score trying to step into the Dragon Pit. I believe that was a ward that was killed and turned into a zombie ward for Team China. That gave vision that the Dragon was being done. MLXG is stepping forward to help Xie clear this out. Level 5 and level 4, so no Glacial Storm Engage follow-up yet to find a target and try to destroy them. But as these lane phases go out, it's still close to even. No upsets on either side.
Guess they didn't get to see that ward, but you can see what the strategy is from China really early on. Once again, playing through mid here. So that's the bait that I was making a mention of. If Score tries to play to a 2v2 mid lane, then the worry is Sejuani passive is going to nail you, and the Irelia consistent damage and stun off her E is what's going to be the cause the play to work in her favor. So for China, you want to see a 2v2 happen through mid lane. Irelia and Sejuani should win out.
They very well could, though Faker is trying to do his best to deny that, as he's got himself a Blasting Wand first on that Galio. No Catalyst, he's going for the damage to try and get through the Sejuani and Aurelia's health before they get through his own. It's a risky play if it pays off, but now Score turning onto this marked Scuttlecrab gets there well before MLXG.
He might just want the AP simply to actually blow up the backline minions. Made minions really the only thing stopping him from getting a full clear. So when he tries to push up the wave, and if the backline wave just stays at 1 HP, then he's stuck in a really bad position in lane. So he's just trying to get his Q, at the very least, high enough damage so he can push out properly.
And you can see how important that mid-jungle matchup is, as Faker and Score on your screen are just talking back and forth, calling out the players of Team China. Where are they? Where are they moving? How are the waves positioned? What vision do they have? What objectives can we look to take? Constantly communicating back and forth, whereas Team China doing the same. As you can see, Xie and Let Me constantly talking back and forth. One
of those answers could be the Rift Herald when it comes up in a few minutes, because you can already see pressure top line is starting to work well for the Akali when she's starting to push out. And you already know what's happening through Aurelia. So one of Sejuani's greatest strengths is her consistent damage onto these larger objectives, dragons and Rift Heralds. And MLXG has always fancied himself a solo dragon or a Rift Herald. And if he can do that, if he has the control ward to be placing on it, then that's the way he'll go for it.
Well, he's still got 2.5 minutes on the clock until that Rift Herald spawns, but with that first dragon being an Infernal, that should be the priority for both of these teams, and a lot of that comes down to the bottom lane control. The Kai'Sa versus Ashe and Gragas versus Alistar. There's big engage on both sides, big damage as well from the Ashe and Kai'Sa, now that we see the Guinsoo's Rageblade on the way for Uzi and the Bilgewater Cutlass for Ruler. And with the wave starting to push up and Score on this side of the map, level 6 is picked up, and this could be the opportunity.
You could see something here. Kindred is in the area, so not close enough for her to just fire off the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but at least to have it in the backside of your head. Here we go, though.
MLXG is level 6. Faker and Xie both have their flashes back up. Xie lands the stun. Shield of Duran denies it. As MLXG walks through vision, just looking for an opening, looking for a single mistake or slip up, but not finding one just yet.
So this is looking good for Faker at the very least. I mean, close in CS. He's denied a lot of the plays that have been coming through from the Sejuani, and they've actually cleared a lot of vision towards Dragon. So you mentioned it. First priority could be the Infernal Dragon, and Korea is in a good spot to contest.
We actually just saw Teleport used by Keen in the top lane. As Shen, he's got Stand United, so if a fight were to break out, he could be able to join up rather quickly, unless Let Me's able to assassinate him 100-0 before the Stand United completes, which is certainly a possibility with that Akali.
You can already see KOR JJ and Ruler's attitude in lane changing. They're trying to get a push, which could play into this fight.
Ming just drops the cask. A good flash gets out of this, but that's immediately the follow-up. Glacial Storm lands. Uzi goes in and finds himself the kill alongside Ming. Score's forced to get in there as Teleport is completed from Let Me. He's looking for Score, trying to chase him down. The second perfect execution doesn't find the burst damage, but he follows him over the wall as Ming finds the kill. Lamb's respite, but Score has got nowhere to go. Let Me finds the solo kill.
Unreal, such a sticky champion. Joins in the fight and he knows he can follow the Kindred. A massive win for Team China.
And you can hear the fans chanting Team China fighting as they're now taking an advantage in this game. 700 gold ahead. Faker's holding down the fort in the mid lane as Keen is trying to counter push up top, but that's already an accelerated bottom, jungle, and top for Team China.
I hope we get another replay on that one because it really started with the attitude change of Ruler and KOR JJ. They wanted to set up around Dragon. The key way to do it, step one, push bottom lane. They tried to do it. MLXG found the window to just jump on him. Uzi follows through, gets the initial kill, immediate teleport too. So everyone was plugged into the play. They knew that was coming through, and Let Me joined in. You know, just teleported in. Usually like, okay, I protected the play, but he's like, wait a minute. I found myself a kindred. Not only blowing the ultimate from Score, but follows him for the kill as well.
Yeah, getting that flash over the wall to follow through. Now 3 kills to 1 for Team China. 2 of those onto Ming. He needs that extra gold to get nice and tanky so that he can keep that Kai'Sa alive as the game goes later on. But already we're seeing an advantage, though. Team Korea, they're going back to the scene of the crime and are setting up around this dragon.
Yeah, relentless. They wanted to set up to begin with around the dragon. It was stopped beforehand. At the very least, China knows that this is going to happen, so they're going to try and contest, but they've already taken a lot of damage on. They can finish it, smite it.
Teleport being started as Dragon has been picked up. KOR JJ with no flash, with no unbreakable will, finds himself going down. That's a stopwatch, and Ruler finds the arrow. Still, though, Uzi happy to chase it, and Ming finds another kill. Xie setting up for the dive, though. Still no flash from Ruler as the minion wave crashes in. Good sidestep on the Sun and the Vanguard's edge, but Uzi takes the aggro. They are juggling it expertly and finds the kill in the end, but over the wall, forced to flash away, and Ming gets out before Score can follow up.
Can Xie get out?
He's getting the slow, mounting dread, flash away from the auto attack. Faker has got his own, though. There's no chance for Xie to escape, but he's going to turn on to Ming instead. The stopwatch denies it. MLXG is there. Xie steps up, denies the auto attack. Score goes forward, finds the kill, looks for Uzi, but dies instead. 6 kills to 2 for Team China.
Unbelievable that he couldn't get one. At the very least, he gets traded, but he had 3 members, all low in HP. All you needed from the Galio was just that 1 Q. He was waiting for it. Stopwatch baited you, buddy. Couldn't net him. So there we have it. Massive advantage for China in the end.
And this is so unprecedented for Team Korea. They seem to be taking the one-on-one coin flip fights, the 50-50s, the risky gambits, not the sure fights. And here we see it once again. KOR JJ gets caught, and Score just goes a little bit too far to follow up.
It just starts from the positioning. There's no way KOR JJ gets out of it, but they try and play it, try and outplay it to begin with. So you lose the 1 kill, that is fine. You were trying to get the dragon. Issue here is Ruler's not going to get away from it because he didn't try and escape to begin with. It doesn't even matter that Xie used all of his abilities and missed. He just tried to zone him, so Ash had to stay underneath the tower. So big win from China, and it was just because they contested the players around the setup for the dragon.
And now it's a 1,600 gold advantage for Team China. As Team Korea, they're going to have to reset themselves after those early kills, after that early advantage, because the Infernal Dragon is still in their pocket. They've still got plenty of scaling with the Ashe and Kindred if they're able to make it into the late game and deny the dives from Xie and Uzi, but they're starting to step up. They found him. They know he's got no flash, and they're able to... No! Uzi gets the kill! Stand united, and he finally goes down as Ming is running for his life in the 1-for-1 trade, but it very well could be 1-for-2 as KOR JJ pens the Gragas against the wall, lands the stun, they chase it down, Score gets the kill.
Good challenge from Korea. At the end of the day, they knew that Uzi was going to try and do something. He had that window ready for him. He had Guinsoo's picked up, so he wanted to fight. He pressed it at the right time. There we go, Ruler coming out with the Ashe arrow, headbutt pulverized. It was just insane to see the outplay. Using his Kai'Sa ultimate to get the extra shield, so he stayed up a little bit longer. So it was an outplay at the end of the day for Uzi to get the kill back, but it was still a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Korea.
Now Letme is working on the top tier 1 turret, looking to take that first brick. None of the turrets have been taken yet, but with MLXG taking the Rift Herald, we're sure to see one go down soon. And Keen is still even able to make it back top in time to defend that turret from Letme and deny that gold. But Faker heading over to the blue buff.
Blue buff's important. You also have Alistar nearby. It's difficult for a Galio to protect a mid lane push with Rift Herald. He's here just to see if he can get a fight ready. Xie could be the bait.
Oh no, Xie looking for the stun, but misses it. Taunt pulls him in, and Xie falls in, hook, line, and sinker.
He knew that there were at least 2 members there because blue was being handed off. Didn't expect Alistar to be in the area as well, so that was CC locked down. No way for him to get out.
That's just the mind games from Team Korea. They find an opening and they pounce, and now what was 6 kills to 2 is only 7 kills to 5 as it's equalized 1 for 3 in the long run. And suddenly, Team Korea are getting back into this matchup, clawing their way back to even. Let's take a look at that once again. Xie, he had no vision.
Yeah, just trying to get some mana, knew that he had MLXG beside him, and that Kindred would be there, but he didn't expect a 3v2. He expected a 2v2. Of course, unfortunate that he fell down at the end of the day, but this is where you start having the conversation about Korea's composition. We had it pre-game that this was great if they were trying to stop the fights from happening, stop the engages from China, and play reactively. It's starting to work now for Korea, the proper trade bottom lane and getting the pick onto Xie mid lane. So this is going to be a little bit difficult, a tough road for China for the minutes to come.
It is starting to stall some things out, but as you said, some big items have been completed. Guinsoo's for Uzi, like you mentioned. Blade of the Ruined King from Ruler to try and match that. Similarly, Faker has completed his Rod of Ages, and junglers are well on their way towards their own second items after the jungle item has been completed. But Xie has been stalled in the mid lane with that death. Still no Triforce, no massive Aurelia burst. And even Let Me, despite being 150 CS, hasn't gotten the chance to recall and finish off that Gunblade. So if Team China want to look for a fight, they need to get a recall into that mid and top lane before they can open the map up.
Yeah, I just want him to have the Stinger, really. At this point, the Aurelia wants to be having the constant damage flowing out, so no attack speed from the Stinger coming out. CDR could follow, so with the Trinity Force, once he gets that massive purchase, then he can find himself in the side lane. It really just depends on when Xie feels comfortable. You might have to join the fight because there's so many people just around the bottom lane, constantly just looking for a fight to happen.
Yeah, MLXG and Score are both sitting outside of vision of the enemy teams, as both Ruler and Uzi playing around the ward saying, we see you, but do you see us? That's the important question. Turns out they both had vision of each other, and neither of them were having any intent of going in. And the wave continues to bounce back and forth. 20 CS for Uzi in the bottom lane ahead of Ruler. In the mid lane, Faker is 10 ahead, and in the top lane, another 30 for Let Me.
A difficult problem, a problem that Korea now faces. If they start and engage bottom lane, Gragas is playing so far out, so you'd have to start the fight on towards Gragas. He has himself the Glacial Shroud, fairly tanky too. So it's going to be difficult just because it's going to be the constant damage of Uzi in the backside, seeing if you can peel on towards the Alistar. And I think they have the damage with the Guinsoo's already being built up. So China, if a fight were to happen, they might be able to take it. It just depends if the double teleport comes in at the same time with Aurelia and Akali coming in.
They've both got those teleports back up. Recall was finished for Let Me. He's level 12 with his second point in that perfect execution. He's finished the Gunblade and has a Blasting Wand as he heads back into the top lane to keep Keen busy, but that does mean the Dragon is now up. Team Korea are already setting up in the river. MLXG is about to run out of time on this Rift Herald, though. They might just trade a mid-tier 1 for what could be this Cloud Dragon.
Massive things coming out. Of course, that means that the Rift Herald must be being placed mid. It just depends where he wants to go. At this point, he's just hidden in the jungle. I guess it's going to be leaning top side, so Rift Herald should be going top.
Let Me gets that first turret and finds himself with solo gold as Shelly the Rift Herald makes her way around to the tier 2. Keen tries to stall it, but she closes her eyes. And the second charge will land onto this tier 2. And Let Me still following up for more pressure.
This is going to be difficult for Keen going forward with the Gunblade being picked up now. The Akali has a lot of sustain. Won't be 100 to 0 at all. So the trade potential that we were talking about with Shen earlier on in the game does not matter. The only thing he has to worry about is defending the tower. So if Akali gets too close, you can counter, sure. But you can't get far away from your tower or this is going to happen.
Yeah, already Let Me trading. That's the Shadow Dash landing. But Score is there,
oh, wow.
And even the teleport from Faker out of base. Can Let Me outplay this? He uses the perfect execution, and MLXG with the save gets Let Me to safety.
That was so much expended to try and get the Akali top lane. At least she used her own ulti, but she's just going to come right back. I mean, nothing's really changed with her positioning, so it's going to be difficult for Faker now, knowing that he's going to be stuck mid, and if he ever goes bottom lane to pick up a wave, then he won't be online for a top lane fight, with his teleport being down.
And it is only 40 seconds until that Baron spawns, so you want to keep that Galio nearby so that he can join in just in case anything were to happen. But still, we're 20 minutes into the game, and this bottom lane is pushing back and forth, trying to sustain it out. A very extended laning phase. But we do now see a lane swap. Xie, with his completed Triforce, goes top, and Let Me decides to stay towards this mid lane, as they could be trying to collapse here.
Yeah, it just makes it so Let Me on the Akali can actually help in the bottom lane dive. It's great because she can pick up the tower aggro early and then just dive into obscurity. So there's a lot of ways you can play it out. It does mean that the tankiness that Irelia provided early on won't be there in presence. So maybe she joins with the teleport, but it's going to be much harder for Shen to deal with her top lane. So she might just try and stay top.
Yeah, you can already see he's pushing Shen out of that lane. Xie keeping Keen busy at the red buff as they're playing around the vision. Now Baron has spawned. Score sets up a trap, but not the desired target walks into it. MLXG happy to push him away. Even though KOR JJ was there to support, it seems as though Team Korea's earlier mistakes have slowed them down. They're being a bit more hesitant with their opportunities. We saw an attempted collapse up top, but that one gets denied by Team China. And now it's just constant maneuvering around this laning phase. It's looking for an opening that Team China just isn't willing to give.
And this is interesting. You already see grouping up mid lane. Faker might get a flash off here.
Shield of Durand, yeah.
You have to respect it every time he channels it.
She is there. They might not have spotted, but they found Score. That's the hero's entrance for a knockup. No one gets caught. Void Seeker, as 5 members of Team China are grouped against the 3. Rulers on the side, still holding onto the arrow, and though KOR JJ gets stunned, he's able to walk it off.
A lot of resources expended from Korea's side. No flash on towards the Kindred, and a Galio ulted just for defense. So that's actually a massive win for China. Next fight they go for could be the Galio that uses his cask in the next fight. That they can come out with a win.
Now Uzi starting to step up. He's got 2 items with the Nashor's Tooth and Guinsoo's. It's good old AP Kai'Sa, big plasma burst if he's able to get a handful of auto attacks. And they're starting to try and control these waves as Team China, without even breaking down the mid or bottom tier 1, swap themselves into a 1-3-1, sending that Aurelia and Akali into side lanes to force Team Korea away from these important objectives.
It's a good adaptation here for Uzi to go towards the AP build. He knows that he has the AD Bruiser in the Aurelia, that she can be providing a lot of that damage and threat there. So having to deal with the frontliners of Shen, Galio, and Alistar, it's a good idea to rely on your passive damage to proc.
And we're still seeing them try to utilize that damage against these turrets. It's a little bit slower because of the raw stats being put towards the passive instead of towards attack damage or attack speed, but that does mean that he can step up in between these waves and start working on that mid-tier 1 turret. Still the split push. Faker's up top. Keen is down bottom. These 2 massive carries sitting on tanks and support roles on this Galio and Shen, and putting all of their investments into Score and Ruler, who find themselves just a bit behind at 0-3-1 and 4-2-0.
And it depends on how these fights pan out, because with how Kindred is doing in this game, that you already saw her being the primary target in the last fight. If you dip and dive into these fights, China tries to push in and then not commit, so they blow their resources initially, and then recommit to the fight, because they already have the Sejuani ulti, the Gragas ulti, and all you have to do is kind of use it in time. You don't have to use it all in one go. It makes it super difficult for Korea to win those fights.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to be looking for in the later team fights. And to your point around, of course, the AP damage you're going to be seeing out of Uzi, this is going to be probably his hardest window, because he's going to be looking to either build up his Zhonya's or Rabadon's death cap, and that takes a long time to do. So you might see China slow the game down so he can get the farm.
It's a very risky question as to what he decides to go for with that 3rd item. Stopwatch is so important, but you can't deny the damage of that Rabadon's. Still, Korea are defending wave after wave as they get pushed in. They don't want to step too far forward. They're starting to clear out vision on the top side. But look at this. The next dragon is spawning in 15 seconds, and it seems as though Team China are ready to fight for it.
Yeah, they would have to be able to. Remember, the 2 early dragons Korea got themselves here, so their dragon's going to be crucial.
Faker over the wall, gets a taunt onto 2, and Ming goes down before getting a chance to do anything. Uzi gets some damage onto KOR JJ, but he's happy to soak it. With that support gone, all of that dragon setup goes down the drain. Team Korea find an opening, and Faker knocks it down.
Getting the kill means that they are now going to be netting the 2nd Infernal Dragon. No MLXG to try and steal it underneath them. Unfortunate for China, but a big pick for Korea.
Yeah, Team Korea not going to give this up without a fight. They find an opening and they take it. With that second Infernal, they're still down about 1,300 gold, but happy to take these fights now that they know they've got the openings. And look at the vision that they're setting up across the map. They have got so many wards on that bottom side to enable Keen to push up into Let Me. It's risky because it is that Akali, but he's already got himself the Titanic Hydra and a Spectre's Cowl for sustain against this non-stop Akali damage.
Yeah, usually at this stage of the game, now that the Dragon's been picked up, you'd actually just abandon those wards. That sure, the Akali is going to be a major threat to the Shen later on here, but usually when Keen's put in this situation, he understands that he doesn't need the vision on the bot side, that he's going to play it back to his own tower. So on that end, you're going to be seeing the vision now go towards top side 25 minutes into the game. The Baron is going to be a major threat, and so that's what you're expecting from Team Korea, and it's going to force Team China to respond.
And you can see KOR JJ trying to step up with some vision from his team this time, not going to overextend as his wards were what enabled Team Korea to find that kill onto Ming. Didn't even get the chance to flash or use that explosive cask and reset on that last opportunity. But he's getting a little bit more tanky now that he's got himself the Aegis and is trying to set up around the map. Still though, seems as though both teams are maneuvering around the Baron for vision, because now, as you said, this is the next big objective. This is the one that could break the game.
Sejuani has great Baron damage, Kai'Sa has great Baron damage. They can burst it if you don't give them the amount of respect they deserve. So it makes a lot of sense for Korea to be hovering over it. Every time mid lane pressure is pushed out by China and they move towards the Baron first, Korea is there just in case.
And now they might be trying to collapse on Xie. He's trying to play the 1-3-1 strategy, but Let Me is having some difficulty pushing bottom against Keen, especially now that the Adaptive Helm is also finished. That's going to put a damper on Uzi's plasma stacks later on. And still just setting up these traps, trying to bait Team China forward and play around this vision. The arrow is ready for Ruler. They've got plenty of engage if they want to try and find it.
You're right about the Shen, though. He's going to be a real raid boss as the game goes on. Pick being found here.
The arrow onto MLXG. A cask resets this as lots of plasma is stacked up. Teleport started and canceled by Xie as he's heading bottom. And that gets Korea into the mid lane a little bit faster than Team China, and they break down the mid-tier 1 turret, their first of the game.
Crucial objective to take mid lane if they're trying to get the Baron vision. Means that they can actually put down deeper control wards in the blue side jungle. So good win from Korea. Just having to expand a few abilities. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but it has a low cooldown.
And this is the Team Korea's pedigree of being so patient, waiting for the right opportunity.
Oh, no.
For Team China, they might be caught out here. KOR JJ finds the knockup, flash from Ming to get out of there. MLXG on the side. He gets over the wall as Xie is left all alone. The turret is already down. He splits off and flashes away. Team Korea, despite losing the laning phase, losing those kills early on, continue to find these openings.
Yeah, that was a great opening from KOR JJ to look for a headbutt pulverize. He gets the flash, which is nice off the Gragas. We're going to have to see if he can ever kind of convert that.
Ming is on the side. He's found Faker. Manages to get the body slam onto KOR JJ. He's got the ultimate. A cask knocks him back. They're going for the plasma, trying to kill the support. Faker goes in. MLG is low, but goes golden. And there goes the Lamb's Respite. Lemmy's ready to get into the fight. Uzi's trying to kite it out on the back, but he can't get through Keen. Lemmy steps forward and goes down. Ruler survives in the back, leaving Uzi as the sole survivor. Flash, slow, the arrow, long range, will miss as Team China lose 4.
So well played from Korea, especially Score coming in with the Lamb's Respite. So there was no way for you to net the kill on towards KOR JJ, and at the very least extend the time so the entire 5v5 comes through. Akali tries to come in with a flank, but just completely denied. No way for her to really carry out a longer fight without obscurity.
As we said, it is so difficult in those extended engages, but now Team Korea, they found the opening, and they're turning onto the Baron. Ming making his way out of the base, and there is no chance unless Uzi can land a Miracle Void Seeker. You can hear the fans chanting as they take it down. Team Korea find themselves in the lead.
A good response, and it really all starts on the support battle. You know, it's always fun to see the support fights. You see the crowd getting into it. It was a good catch to Ming, which turned into a great catch to KOR JJ as you throw the cask into it. Take a look at this. CoreJJ tried to find the flashless Ming, but the team was there to get the pick off to CoreJJ. Moment Lamb's Respite is ready. It saves Ruler, of course, who is getting flanked by the Akali, and they can re-engage around the Galio taunt. So then suddenly, there's no way you can assassinate Ruler any longer. State comes out of the fight with 1 HP.
Whoa, looks like MLXG gets caught very overextended, forced to dash away, leaving Uzi all by himself. Stand united, Keen eats a stun and will not follow with a flash shadow dash. As Team China now forced to back away. Dragon's up in 30 seconds, and the stun will stop Team Korea from following, but looks like they've already got the Baron, they've got the wave prep bottom, and they're set up for this Dragon.
Great cast from Ming to stop Sejuani from dying, falling in the hands of Korea. At the very least, Korea can go back and get the Dragon now. They just keep trying to fish for a kill.
Yeah, if they so desire. It seems like right now they're going to focus on turrets. We're 30 minutes into the game, and that's now the second turret being taken by Team Korea. This laning phase has been stalled and slowed so much by Team Korea to hold on to their mid lane, to hold on to their bottom lane. And despite the constant splitting from Xie and Let Me, they're just not able to do anything, as that is triple Infernal Dragon for Team Korea.
There we go, team fight ready. And with the next one looking to be the Elder Dragon, there's no way you can team fight into the Korea. You have to be creative about it. Ming is going to be crucial if he can get the proper body slam and cast. We'll have to see if that's the case, but Korea's been playing very safely in the late game.
Yeah, the mid-tier 2 is broken. Faker already prepping the wave bottom. He's level 17 with a Rabadon's death cap after Zhonya's. So not only is he tanky, but he is also going to do a lot of damage as his team collapses to finish off this next turret. Team China's window of opportunity is getting smaller and smaller as it's Team Korea forcing them to defend.
And it's such a hard job for Let Me. Just take a look at him. He's trying to be useful, but he's going up against a Kindred with Hexdrinker and an Ashe with Ma Malmortius. If he tries to go into the assassination, there's no way you can do it, and put him in a side lane. And you already talked about the heavy magic as this Keen has picked up for himself. So it's such a tough road for the Akali because the assassination is no longer a viable route.
I mean, even the Locket of Iron Solari to pop up an additional shield to keep his carries alive whenever he joins into these fights. There is so much denial out of Team Korea. Xie completes his recall as he heads back to base, but Baron still on Team Korea. They've broken down both the mid and bottom tier 2s, not getting to the inhibitors just yet, as Uzi will finally break down the bottom tier 1. But even so, look at how much has been invested to try and defend this. He's continuing to push up against Keen, and Team Korea are looking for the bottom tier 2 turret.
Yeah, a little bit too many people in the bottom lane. This is going to be a major push topside.
Keen is being dove. His health is going low.
What?
Forced to flash away, as I believe that was Faker getting involved in that play. The bottom tier 2 is traded. Looks like we might have a base race. Uzi trying to outplay this, but Faker is doing damage, and Keen finds the kill. Team China trying to base race, and it blows up in their face as Keen and Faker get the outplay and chase these down. They're losing an inhibitor top.
50-second death timer on Uzi. This should be the kill here for Korea. There's no reason for him to stop now.
Xie and Let Me, the two split pushers are forced to take a team fight. Teleport onto the cannon minion. Xie goes low, he dives in. Let Me step forward, but Faker joins the fray just as Ming respawns. Still, Xie dives as best he can. Let Me tries to stall it out, but the double kill, and Team Korea, 33 minutes in, turn on to the Nexus and even up the series 1-1.
Yeah, you think you can get the backstage access to the carries. There are too many bouncers in this club. Galio just not, allowing you to start those